Hello everyone, I'm here to tell you and explain to you what's going on with Donald Trump's natal birth chart, the birth chart when he was born, and I'm going to let you know exactly what is going on in his personality and what's to come with this terribly evil person that is the president. And I think this might explain some things. And I can't emphasize enough how evil this birth chart is. It is really the worst of the worst. And it's a really terrible thing for the United States and the world. And not only that, but nature, wildlife, our forest. I mean, this is the most destructive birth chart that you could ever find or see in astrology. So I'm going to go ahead and explain this to you. Okay, so here we have 12 houses. And the most scary house that people say is the 12th house. And people would rather not have planets in the 12th house. You would rather not have planets here. This is a house that defines mental institutions, prisons, criminal activity, just, you know, like a really, this is the house of mental illness, severe mental illness. And so let's say you have Jupiter. Jupiter is the planet of luck. That would be okay here. But most planets don't do well in this house. So I would like the worst planets you can have in the 12th house of mental institutions and criminal activity and jail and corruption, lies, deceit is Mars. So we've got Mars here. And Mars is actually a really bad planet to have in the 12th house. And it's actually known that serial killers have Mars in the 12th house. And also people that are murderers, they have Mars in the 12th house. And they also, their aggressive activity goes after criminal. They are criminals and they go after crimes aggressively, with aggressiveness, and they don't care who they hurt or what kind of damage they do. They will go after criminal activity aggressively. And also, because it is the 12th house of self-undoing, they actually turn on their own selves by they're like their own worst enemy. They're their own worst enemy. Okay, so the other worst planet you could have in this 12th house of mental institutions and criminal activity is Pluto. And Pluto sits right there. And Mars and Pluto together, this is when you look at a birth chart of serial killers or murderers, people that are very dangerous, you will find Mars and Pluto in their chart. And so Pluto shows in the 12th house that this person had a dictator as a father. This person lived in a house of tyranny and a dictatorship. This person was neglected, desperate for attention. He doesn't care how he gets it. He's desperate for attention. And it shows that his mother was actually, she was like in a codependent relationship, very neglected, abused, and just a really sad situation for the mother. The father here, he was a dictator. And this is where he learned this. And things are black or white with him. He is Donald Trump is not a tolerant person. He is, he wants to be a dictator, and he wants to take his psychological issues of his father's dictatorship out on the world. And as long as we allow him to do that, he will do that. So what I don't understand is this is such a terrible combination. You don't want this person as the president, and he needs to be removed from office. You see a lot of journalists being very nice about it, and this is not the time for nice. If you have to start a civil war to get rid of this man, that's what you have to do. You have to save the country, the wildlife, the trees, the forest. He wants to clear cut 280 million acres of national forest and get a God Squad together to exterminate endangered species, because our timber that came from Canada is now gone because of his tariffs. So I'll explain that to you. So down here is Jupiter is the planet of luck, and everybody gets Jupiter somewhere in their chart. So where Donald Trump got it is in the second house of finances. Okay, so you think, okay, so he's got money. This shows a person who has money, finances. But Neptune, the planet of delusions about finances, illusions, delusions, is next to his Jupiter in the second house. So this makes him a terrible businessman. He's not in reality when it comes to finances. He lives in a place of unreality. He's a terrible businessman because of this Neptune here. This Neptune makes him live in a land of delusions. He's delusional about finances. That's why he's gone bankrupt so many times. And that's why he's inflicting all this chaos and evil upon the world with economy, because MAGA and everybody thinks that he's such a great businessman. He's not a great businessman. He's actually not only able to cast a delusion over himself, but he's doing that with the world. He's still, people still think he's a great economist when he's not. He's not. This is a delusion. He's delusional, and he's putting this delusion on the world. And he's got Leo as a rising sign, so this is where he comes across as charismatic. And that is how a person is seen at first sight by strangers, and like his MAGA cult. So he's seen as a charismatic leader, and then so that's where he gets his MAGA cult. And then of course you've got the moon in the fourth house with the black Lilith, which shows that in his house there were secrets, dark secrets, terrible secrets, and it was related to the mother. So she was probably beat up and abused by the father. And he saw that, so that probably really screwed him up too. Okay, but I'm not saying feel sorry for him, because with this Mars and this Pluto, he is a serial killer. This is a murderer who has no conscience about what he does to anyone, to wildlife, to the trees, to the forest, to children, to immigrants. This is a person who has major issues with his father, who was a dictator. He was totally neglected, and he wants to be a dictator. He sees things in black or white. There's no gray area. Okay, so what we want, and then he's got Saturn in the 11th house of friends. So this also shows that he may actually have friends that they actually end up turning on him. With Venus here, first it's a great relationship, a great friendship, like people in his administration, but Saturn says they turn on him, and they've turned on him his whole life. Okay, so you've got the sun in the 10th house. This is a high place. This is a person. This is like a person that says, yeah, he's going to be some character in the public eye. Some character in the public eye. He has a destiny to be, he has a destiny right here. This is his destiny to be some sort of a character in the public eye right here. And his North Node is in Gemini, which makes him and his Sun is in Gemini. So he's got sort of like a split personality, as you can see. He's got a split personality, and then he's got the North Node. And so this is interesting. He's got a destiny to be some sort of a public person. He's got here's his North Node that puts him in that direction. But what's really interesting is Uranus. This is explosions, and it's sitting right there next to his destiny, right there, 20 less than 3 degrees. So it's very, very close. And with this Uranus sitting so close to his presidency and his destiny, it shows that there will be some sort of an explosion into his destiny. Now, I can't honestly tell you what this is, but I can tell you some ideas that it could be. It could be, this is an explosion, a sudden event that will happen to his presidency. This could be assassination. This could be, anything, any kind of a sudden explosion, It's sitting right next to his presidency and the destiny. So I would like to just end this and say that, and then also, if you remember in my last video of his presidential chart, he had Pluto sitting next to the sun, and so does VANCE, which shows a totally terrible presidency and vice presidency. It shows destruction to America, to the wildlife, to the trees. He wants to clear cut 280 million acres and get a God squad together to exterminate endangered species. Everybody needs to stop this, including in California. He has forced the hand of Governor Newsom to get this Community Hardening Act and this, proclamation to do the same in California. Governor Newsom needs to stand up to him, but Governor Newsom, I've never seen him protect wildlife or nature. He acts more like a Republican. I live in the mountains, and I have seen that man do so much destruction to our state. I've never seen a governor in my lifetime do that. I mean, the electric companies have started almost 100% of these fires. He's never punished them. He's punished the trees and the forest and the wildlife habitat, which is disgusting. And also, he accepts millions of dollars in lobbying fees from them every year. And he continues to give them contracts, even though, and then when they get sued, the electric companies, Southern California Edison and PG&E, the judges say, well, you can raise your rates and let the people who's paying for their electric bills pay for your lawsuits. Now tell me how unfair that is. Okay, so that's really disgusting. So there's corruption going on both ends, because Governor Newsom is supposed to be a Democrat, but that's the reality of what he's doing. And it's not okay to not protect wildlife and the trees in the forest, and then to allow an electric company to come in and continue to cut around insulated lines that are 100% safe and fool the public that they don't have that technology, that insulated lines are 100% safe. It's really disgusting that Governor Newsom has not protected the wildlife or the wildlife habitat at all. And environmentalists need to be outraged and protect the trees in the United States from this 280 million being clear cut in God squad to exterminate endangered species. And Governor Newsom blaming the trees for the fires and and exterminating wildlife and wildlife habitat, when they need the trees for the winter. I mean, if they don't have branches and stuff, they'll freeze to death, they'll die, they'll go extinct. And what do? Just close our eyes and we don't hear their cries? We just, oh, well, no, we have to stand up, because without a world of wildlife, it would be a terrible place. 2/3 of all wildlife has disappeared in the world. You clear cut 280 million acres, or do what Governor Newsom is doing with this Community Hardening Act and this proclamation, allowing them to burn as much as they want, and cut the Coastal Commission Environmental Protection Agency, you're going to have a country that's nothing but corporations, no wildlife, no wild. I mean, let's get this straight. The electric company started 99.9% of these fires. Put the blame where it is, not with the trees and not with the wildlife. Stop making the trees and the wildlife pay for what the electric companies have done. And get rid of them. There has to be some other source of electricity than Southern California Edison and PG&E. So I will just go over this again to you really quickly. So he's got Mars. It's a house of self-undoing. It's the house of mental institutions and prisons, criminal activity. He's got Mars, and it's in the 12th house. It's next to his rising sign, Leo, which shows that he's able to manipulate his following with this aggressive, charismatic, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to go after this, I'm going to go after that. No, he's doing this for criminal activity, and Pluto here shows that he has no conscience, that he wants to murder and kill children and Americans, and it's all his psychological issues when it comes to his father, the dictator. And his mother down here with the Black Leela, she was abused. There's secrets that happened in the home. She was abused. Nobody talks about it. That clearly shows an abused mother. He's got the sun. Here's the presidency. He's got a destiny. He was destined to be famous in some way. It doesn't mean presidency, but this is like the house of fame. And then he has a destiny here. But what's interesting, it gets interrupted with this Uranus explosion. It's sitting here in his natal birth chart. So something he did in a past life is going to not allow this to be fulfilled. And with his presidential chart, with the Pluto there, he's disgracing himself, and he's disgracing everyone around him that has jumped on board with him. They've all sold their soul, and they all will pay for it with this Uranus. You can't change that. It's sitting in his natal birth chart. So this is the chart. Mars and Pluto is a chart of a murderer, a serial killer. With Saturn, he's got friends that will betray him, and he's got he will be disgraced, and he's got some unexpected event right here that's right next to his presidency. And let's see what else here. And so with his mother here, he is he's got issues with his mother being abused by the dictator father, who probably hit her, beat her up. And he was from a very dysfunctional home. And here he's got Jupiter in the second house. You think, oh gosh, I want the planet of luck in the finances. But look at, he's got Neptune, the planet of delusions and illusions. This is like, this right here says, don't trust this man with money, and don't trust him with your company. Don't trust him with the presidency. Don't trust him with the economy, because not only is it delusional for himself, but he's able with this charismatic, convincing Leo and Mars sitting here, this aggressive communication. Oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. But they need to wake up and realize it's almost like a spell. This is a spell that he cast over people. And it says, you know, things aren't as bad as they are. But this shows his finances have not been lucky. He's in delusion. He's not in reality when it comes to finances. And so that's why the stock market's going crazy. He's like a horrible business person. He doesn't live in reality when it comes to finances. And he's ruining our relationships with other countries. And all people have to do is see what a horrible business person he is. He's ruining our economy. It shows right here. This is the ruination of his own economy and the world's economy and the United States economy. This right here, Mars and Pluto, is the combination of a serial killer, a murderer, a person who has severe issues with his dictator father, and the poor abused mother of his. And he's got the sun here. Oh, Saturn, we're in the house of friends, betraying friends who, oh, they come across, you know, they love him, this and that, but right, Saturn sits right there. They're going to say, we're going to stab you in the back. We're going to betray you. And so with his sun and his destiny to be some sort of a famous person, you've got Uranus that will interrupt that with some sort of an explosion. But I can't see what that is exactly, what the details of that is, but it is sitting right here next to his presidency, and it's a destiny that there will be an interruption. There's an explosion right here. There's some sort of an explosion, and it could be assassination. It could be, I would say with the way he's going, that's what that probably is. And considering they say, what, 2 other people tried before? Well, that says that, you know, the reason why they keep trying is because there's a destiny right here that there will be a success with this. And it's karma, because he's done something terrible in his past life. And he's got this terrible chart to be a famous person, and then to be show himself, his true colors. He's a famous person as a murderer, a person with father issues. His father was a dictator, a serial killer chart. And his friends people that he considers his friends will betray him. And they show, oh, we love you, but they have a knife behind their back. And maybe that's where this comes from, huh? The Aquarius right there. And then you've got the economy. It's a delusion. It's like a spell he's put over people. He's done it with his Leo rising sign, which is how he comes across to strangers or the MAGA cult. And then the Mars, once again, it's in the 12th house, but it's so close to the rising sign. This is his communication with his MAGA cult. Oh, I'm going to do this. I'm so charismatic. I'm going to do that. And so this is where he gets his MAGA cult from. And then he cast a spell. It's all about money. I'm going to do this with the money. I'm going to do that. And Neptune is really a spell here. It's a spell of finances that says, I'm going to fix the economy, the grocery process, and I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And now he's saying he's going to clear cut 280 million acres in our forests and exterminate endangered species. And Governor Newsom is doing the same, because Governor Newsom's acting just like he's a MAGA now. And he's trying to go after all of California's forest and their endangered species and wildlife. When the electric companies, the $3 trillion a year corporations, Southern California Edison and PG&E, have started these fires, and there's not one mention about it. They're just going to go after the trees and the wildlife habitat. That's evil, Governor Newsom. That's evil, evil, evil. Grow a conscience. Grow a conscience. Horribly evil. Okay, so let's just say this. This is a terrible illusion and delusion when it comes to economy. He's not a good businessman. This is where all the bankruptcies come from. Neptune right here next to the Jupiter. So here he's got planet of luck with money, and he's got Neptune. He's able to put this sort of a spell, an illusion, delusion over people when it comes to money. And but all you have to do is look at reality. You got to pretend like that Neptune isn't there and look at the reality of all his bankruptcies. Look at the chaoticness of the stock market. He's not a good businessman. He doesn't live in reality when it comes to economy. He lives in a total delusional world. And you can see when you turn on the news how many enemies that were good friends of ours, Canada, Mexico, they're like, you're crazy. And he doesn't think he's crazy, but he is. He doesn't live in a delusion. And more of his friends, instead of pretending like they love him, they need to actually start telling him the truth. This is delusional what you were doing, and you're creating a lot of enemies. Instead, for some reason, they're just going along with it. They're sociopaths too, and it's disgusting, really. But they say the law of attraction, right? Those that are like him would be attracted to him. So that's probably his whole administration. So here we go. We have a president is a serial killer, a murderer, a criminal, and he's got his MAGA cult here that he's convinced that he's going to do this and do that. There's a whole delusion over the economy. He's put a spell over people thinking he's a great businessman, but he's not. The Neptune says it right here. He's had problems his whole life with finances. These MAGA cult needs to wake up and see the reality of this, what he's doing financially to us. And this shows that he will be betrayed by friends that pretend like they love him. And there's a Uranus here next to his presidency. That's an explosion. That is, I don't know what it is exactly. It could be an assassination. I don't know, but maybe you can comment below and tell me what you think that is. Okay, thank you. I hope that this is helpful. Very scary, and he's a very terrible man. And please speak up for the trees. He wants to clear cut 280 million acres and put a God Squad together to exterminate endangered species. And please let Governor Newsom know that the trees are not responsible, or the wildlife habitat, for these fires. The electric companies are. And embers travel from miles and miles and miles away. So it's ridiculous what he wants to do, and to let them do as many controlled burns. I mean, it's completely sociopathic to our nature, to our wildlife habitat of California, and to our forest. And people need to stand up for the trees and the wildlife habitat and stop the destruction of our forest in the United States before it even begins. I'm begging you. Dear Lord up in heaven, please stop the destruction of our forest in California and the United States, and permanently stop this guy he put in charge in Idaho saying to free the forest. You free the forest, you exterminate animals that need the forest for the weather and the rain and the birds and the endangered species. These people are all sociopaths, and they don't listen to the voiceless or care about the voiceless of this world and nature, but we have to, because they're after them, and they don't care. All they care about is money and destruction. Stand up, start a civil war, America, because you'll never get rid of this president unless it's not something in equal extremism to grow some fangs and get rid of this president and vice president immediately, and his new administration. Let the Democrats take over before the mess is too big to clean up, or the destruction to nature is going to affect generations and generations to come and cause great heartache and sadness to the wildlife and to the animals of this world and the trees. And if you're listening in Europe or some other country, we need help. We've helped everyone in the world through all these wars and everything, but now Americans need help. We have a dictator as a president who's a serial killer, a murderer, and a murderer of economy, and so is his administration. We need your help to get rid of them and put the Democrats back in charge and to save our democracy. Calling all allies, help America right now. Get rid of this horrible man, this Donald Trump and VANCE, and what they're doing. They're going to destroy the whole world, and probably with a nuclear bomb. He wants to get together with Netanyahu and drop a bomb on Iran. Come on. Calling all allies, help us out. Okay, thank you very much. Bye-bye.